It's Friday and it's warm, but we're expecting more rain again. Good morning, Ruby. It's already started to rain and we haven't gotten very far. It's a light rain though, and now we've got some sort of accident up here at South Park. Let me focus on what I'm doing. We saw a pickup truck in the middle of the intersection that had already been raised onto the tow truck but not taken away. And either somebody was hauling some dirt, like a landscaping thing, or they threw down some stuff onto the road to soak up gasoline and oil. I don't know which. I tried just to mostly look at getting through the intersection safely and not running over any emergency personnel. You always come back and look at it later on the dash cam. Hope no one was hurt. It's 62 out there this morning. We've made okay time to get Johnny over to the school at 6:21. That's enough time to get across town. There's a little bit of spotty rain out there, but it's not like it's going to be pouring today or anything. It's just going to kind of be like this with a little bit of spotty drizzle. So yeah, my voice isn't sounding too great this morning. All that sneezing at the house and all those allergies are, I'm feeling it today. I'm definitely feeling it. You have a good day, buddy. I love you.
Love you too, Mom.
It's Friday.
I know.
I'm so excited.
Bye.
Bye. I'm just excited for the potential of sleep. Goodness, I've been stopped over here at the church for 20 minutes already. I didn't mean to do that. Time just really runs away. I've been sending gifts to people, and there's 2 Pokestops here, so I've been spinning the Pokestops trying to get more gifts. And right now we're kind of in between events on Pokemon Go, so I'm not as desperate to play as sometimes. But tomorrow is Bag On Community Day, so that's should be fun. I don't know what I'll be doing during Community Day. Johnny's not here this weekend. He'll be at his father's house. And I don't know what Dawn and I have planned, but probably catching some Bag On somewhere, you would think. So also, I got 2 things on the agenda today. One is I'm meeting up with my friend Kelly, who I've met up with before for like coffee or lunch, and we're going to trade Pokemon and have chit chat. It's actually been way too long. I think it's been like 5 weeks. I don't know how that happened. We tried to get together every 2 to 3 weeks, and it just, I guess we've just both been busy. And there's a EV meeting at a church in Wake Forest tonight, and we had attended an AACA meeting, Antique Automobile Club of America meeting at Golden Corral about a year ago. And the person that organized that event is organizing this event and really wanted us to come. And I, you know, waited. I sort of have to wait until sort of close to events to say yes or no, because there's so much stuff going on. If I tell you 2 months out that we can make it, we really can't make it. So but anyway, I waited till a week in advance, and I'm like, yeah, I think we can come. But it turns out they really wanted us there for the most important part, which is showing the car a half an hour earlier than I think we can probably get there. Matter of fact, I know we can't get there by the time this car is showing, and we would probably show up in the middle of the meal or at the very start of the meeting. And it's an hour drive. It's over 50 miles to get to this place. As you've seen around Raleigh, when we go basically from down in Fuquay, when we go anywhere, we've driven 15 miles, 30 miles. And, you know, if we've really driven somewhere, we've gone 50. So I think we're going to an EV show tonight, but I am having some conversation back and forth with the organizer to see if it really makes sense for us to go now. I want to go. I was looking forward to it. Especially love showing the car with Dawn. That's one of my favorite things to do. Something that we can, you know, enjoy doing together. But I think we can't get there early enough. We have to drop Johnny off at Taekwondo at a certain time. So anyway, that's what's going through my head this morning, and I've just been over here sitting for a long time. I need to get back to Fuquay now before Dawn sends out a search party for me. Because of possibly adding this trip on this afternoon, plus, you know, I've still got to go back and get Johnny, I'm going to let Ruby charge for 2 hours up until 11 a.m. while we still are on off-peak electricity right now. We go up to peak at 11, I believe, until 6. So I've got a 2-hour window here. It's 8:48 a.m. So Don and I have been reading the news from Tesla this morning about them removing the 35K Model 3 from the configurator.
Yeah.
And also about bundling autopilot in with all purchases now at a slightly higher than previous cost, but not the whole $3,000 more cost. And so that caused quite a good bit of discussion between me and Don. And, you know, I thought there was some good content here, so I went and grabbed the camera so Don can talk. Y'all seem to really like it when Don shares his opinion, so go for it, Donnie.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, sweetheart. So, as I've said before, I watch quite a few YouTube videos, and that doesn't mean the YouTube videos are 100% accurate or make me right. But I have watched Sandy Autoline Detroit, and they have this after hours show where they get on and interview industry experts, auto industry experts for, you know, usually at least an hour. So it's a really in-depth type show, after hours show, and they've had Sandy Monroe of Monroe Associates, who is an engineering firm that has taken a disassembled various different cars over the years, and they've disassembled I mean every nut, bolt, and screw type disassembly, a BMW i3, a Chevy Bolt with a B, and a Tesla Model 3 long range early on, and now they've done the Tesla Model 3 from China, one of the cars that was shipped from California to China. They shipped back to Detroit, and they have taken it apart. Alright, so I say all that to let you know this guy, he knows a little something about this. A year ago, when they took apart the, was probably been over a year ago, when they took apart the long-range Model 3 rear-wheel drive. This was before the performance, before the dual motor, and all of that. He took it apart, and he said that Tesla was probably making 20% or something, making a strong margin on that car. He believed that Tesla was making money on there, and one of the interviewers on that year ago Autoline Detroit show asked him, well, do you think he's going to be able to make a $35,000 version of this? And you know, this next comment that Sandy made is almost a direct quote from my memory, but the key thing is that it sort of showed Sandy's at that time still bias a little bit towards the legacy car industry. He said, oh, you don't have to worry, they can detint the car, people know how to detint a car to hit a price point. So he was not concerned that you could take a long-range Model 3 rear-wheel drive and sell it for $35,000 as a standard range car. Well, now with this announcement, apparently, and I need to back up a little bit there and say, at the time he made that comment, I wasn't so sure, because I had in my mind the things that legacy car makers tend to do to decontent a more premium car to make it cheaper. Those things aren't really available to Tesla. Like take a cruise control. So if you're selling a premium car and it has cruise control and it's a gasoline car, you can remove the cruise control and save some money, because the servo motor that controls the throttle in a internal combustion car, you know, that servo motor costs money. Well, in Tesla's case, there's no servo motor. It's just a little piece of software running around there that does cruise control, the standard cruise control that says how fast, read the speedometer, change the motor speed based on what the customer has set. There's like no savings whatsoever. But in a standard car it is. A lot of the things that legacy people would use, you know, like you would get a console. Well, there's not much of a console in a Tesla to start with. In fact, that was one of the things that they ended up doing with the standard range. You know, that wood strip across the air conditioner bit, that, you know, removing that wood strip, I would almost say probably it might have saved the cost of the veneer, but that veneer is pennies. You know, and I would say the step of painting the plastic, because most plastic in cars, believe it or not, is actually painted. It probably costs as much or more than putting on the veneer. So what I thought at the time is that I thought Tesla was going to have a hard time decontenting the car. And they've gotten burned by this building a cheaper version and then adding the early Model S. There was this thing called the tech package. And one of the changes between the tech package and the non-tech package was the MCU. The MCU had less memory in the car that if you ordered the tech package, you got more memory. Well, all of us know how inexpensive memory is on a tablet. I mean, the difference between 2 gig and 4 gig is pennies. So Tesla kind of got into trouble by decontenting things that save you pennies. So I think that when they came out with the Premium Plus, which is basically everything that's available in the Premium or the long range minus the battery. The battery was, in theory, we're thinking it's smaller, but the interior was the same. Because think about it. You know, that's that vegan interior, that's not real leather. You know, it's not handcrafted leather. I mean, that's mass produced. It's probably only pennies cheaper than the textile interior. And you still have to sew the textile interior. So the construction is probably the same. And then the Premium has powered seats and the standard doesn't. Well, that means then you have to have a whole different way of making the seats and the mechanism just to save the motors, because you've got to put manual controls on the seat. You know, you got to have a little bar that you grab so you can slide the seat forward and back. So that's a whole nother complex manufacturing. It was probably, plus you had to design all that. So it's probably cheaper to just go on and put an electric motor on the seat and just, you know, the unit cost is probably not that much big. So I guess what I'm saying is I totally get that Tesla didn't have available to it the types of things to decontent a car that a legacy people would normally have. And that, I think that's, Sandy was wrong when he said, oh, they could decontent it. And I guess now I'm proving to be correct. Another video I had watched was Jack Rickard's EVTV, and he's disassembled the Tesla Model 3 battery pack. In the Model S and the Model X battery pack, it was made up of either 14 or 16 separate modules. The 14 modules was for the 75, and the 16 modules was for the 85, 90, or the 100. And they added more cells to the modules to vary it out. But basically, it came in a 14 cell version, a 14 module version, or a 16 module version. And that was really the difference, again, with also adjusting the number of cells in each module. Well, the Model 3 only has 4 modules, and it's even worse than that. There's what they call 2 long modules and 2 short modules. So that's in the long range version. So maybe in the medium range version, they put in 4 short modules, because that space is already designed. Everything's already there. And if you want to take out an entire module, it probably drops the capacity down too little. And if you want to remove or add cells, it probably changes it too much. So it's probably the medium range battery or the Premium Plus battery is probably the battery with only 4 short modules. It has no in place of the long module. So, you know, there's those kinds of things. So there's only so much configuration because of the Model 3 battery pack that they could do. So that's where I suspect they thought they were going to save the money, because the motors cost the same. Everything is basically the same. And what I was trying to get at is, I don't see how they were going to save that much money in the interior, because what Tesla considered premium, it was all synthetic or plastic anyway, and you change one synthetic and plastic for another synthetic plastic, it doesn't save you that much money. You're not talking thousands of dollars. So the only place they could really save was in the battery. And I don't know, based on the videos I saw, I don't know how you can save that much money on the battery, because I think the cell itself is the cheapest part. They've gotten the price of making the cells down to, depends on who you believe or don't believe, the price of this at the cell is at $100 a kilowatt. So if they cut 10 kilowatts from the pack, that would mean they would save $1,000. Well, if they were trying to get a $44,000 car down to 35, they're trying to save 9,000. You can't cut enough cells out of a battery to get it down to $35,000. So I guess I'm not surprised they're doing this. I would have preferred them to have said something to the effect that, you know, if you were a reservation holder or you have ordered your $35,000, you're going to get it. But we're going to offer this window in each country or each geographic area. We're going to offer that window for 30 days, and you get to order your car during that window. And then after that, we're not going to make that car available. So maybe you could argue they would have done that, but this whole first quarter volume deliveries were down or whatever. They were pushed up against some things that took away some of their options. But I guess what I'm saying, all this to go back to my point is, I don't know that Tesla has the same ability to decontent a car that a typical company has. I believe they had a problem decontenting it. I do believe Tesla actually wants to sell the car as inexpensively as possible, and they want to actually reduce the price of the car, but they get into trouble when you reduce the price of the car. So what they're doing is they're trying to increase the value of the car and keep the price in the same ballpark. Hence, they've added autopilot as standard. Well, really, autopilot costs them nothing. They've already have to do the software for the Model 3s with full self-driving. They've already got to do the software, so the software cost is the same. It doesn't matter how many cars you put that software on. They were building the car with all the sensors, so they can't say, well, this is a $35,000 car, so we're only going to put half the sensors in it or something. They couldn't do that. Elon had already said that the standard Model 3 was going to be as safe as, have all the automatic safety features that all the Teslas. It's going to be just as good as the performance Model 3. So again, that you could say that handicapped, and maybe he shouldn't have made that statement, but I think it was the right way. The only way you can have safety, you got to have all these cameras. So you got to have the radar, those kinds of things. If you're going to do it, you do. That's what you do, and that's one of the things that other car companies get to do. A lot of these advanced safety features are not available on the base car. You have to start adding packages to your car to get the safety features. Consumer Report talks about this all the time. That car companies are, they're fussing at car companies to put the safety features standard on the base model and not package them with a DVD player. You have to buy the DVD or the navigation package to get the safety feature. They say that's not right.
Alexa, stop.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I've certainly expected Tesla not to make the $35,000, raise the price of the $35,000 car I guess I would have preferred them to make it still available and just put some kind of time period on, you need to get it ordered by a certain time. This thing about contact the sales office when they're trying to close the sales office, you know, that's another one of those disjointed things. So again, I think this all has to do with, you know, they sort of box themselves in several areas, and they're taking away some of their flexibility. And really, in the long run, this is really bad for EV adoption, because the number one problem with EV adoption, it's not the range of the car, it's not the performance of the car, it's not the safety, it's not the styling, it's not the features. The reason that people are not driving, the reason that your neighbor's not buying an electric car instead of that gasoline powered car, is because the electric cars are $15,000 or $10,000 or $7,500 more, whatever. They're more expensive than the gasoline car, the purchase price. Yes, the total cost of ownership might work out in advantage to the electric car driver. Don't know that for a fact. But if they could get the price down, so when you went into the lot and you could buy your $24,000 compact car, gasoline version, or you can get it for $25,000 with the electric motor, then it would be a no-brainer when there's cost parity on that. Or of course, if gas goes to $5 a gallon or $6 a gallon or something crazy like that, then people would pay. But in the world of, in our case, it's like $2.70 gas.
Yes,
right.
We're about hovering at around $2.70, $2.75 right now.
Yeah, and $2.70 gas, it doesn't matter. The total cost of ownership is too
Except
hard.
to the people in California where it's over $4.
Right.
Don't forget those poor people. We definitely have a good bit of rain coming down here now. Not pouring, but more than a drizzle. We have confirmed that we are going to make the EV meeting tonight at the Presbyterian Church in Wake Forest. And I am on my way to meet Kelly at Cultivate, which is the coffee shop near the existing Fuquay Arena Library. There are a couple of Pokestops we can reach from there, and also the gym across the street. So it's a good location. Kelly said she was hoping that they had ice cream back for the season. It's raining, but at least it's warm. Yay, Ruby now has 100,000 kilometers, and she's got a baby Magpie that she didn't have before, and it's lucky. Well, that was fun. Kelly and I sat there for about 90 minutes and made a lot of trades between our multiple accounts, because we all have, both of us have a bunch of accounts that we play on. That was a lot of fun. I like the red paint on that Volt. Teslafy will tell me the exact percentage, but by the time I stopped charging from the phone app in the house, nice and comfy on the couch, and told Ruby to, you know, stop charging 10:58 a.m. right before we went to peak electrical usage. She was really close mileage-wise, like 232 or something, to where she is for our 80% charge first thing in the morning, which usually maxes out at 237. So almost back to 80%. So Don was like, good thinking about plugging her in and just make sure we've got a cushion. It's cheap electricity right now. Obviously that route up through downtown Raleigh, we'd sort of be going past the supercharger in Raleigh anyway, but who wants to spend 30 minutes to swing over there if you don't have to? So we should be set for our little trek back to Raleigh up to Wake Forest tonight. We're in the Fuquay Walmart parking lot, just driving through for Pokemon, and my parking space, they've blocked off my parking space.
Not entirely, look.
Well, that's not where I park though. Wow, I don't know why. Johnny and I are home now, and we've got about an hour and 15 minutes before Don and I take him to Taekwondo and then head on up to that EV show at the church tonight. So the rain has let up, but it's not cleared out there. I'm just feeling like today's ride, both in and out of Raleigh, was kind of stressful. Just people doing things on the road that were not so nice. Coming through Fuquay, I swear I didn't even hesitate, and the light turned green and a guy turned left in front of me just because he was in a rush and didn't want to honor my right-of-way. There was a car this morning that honked their horn while I was going through an intersection. I have no idea why, and they were, I think it was the car behind me, and I was doing 2 over the speed limit and in the right lane, and I don't understand what was going on, but all these cars always honking their horns and you don't know who they're honking at, and right when you're in the middle of the intersection, you know, it makes you think you're about to get hit. And there was a car that pulled out in front of us on 401 that they moved into the left lane and didn't stay in the right lane in front of me, but that, you know, was just, it was way close, and there was a car coming up in the left lane too. They just acted like they didn't have to wait. And there were several other examples I'm sure I could pull up off the dash cam. It was just a frustrating, kind of scary drive in and out today. Nobody had any patience. We're all in Ruby. Donnie and I are taking Johnny to drop him off at Taekwondo. If it were true that we could get there at 6:10, that wouldn't be too bad. Have a great weekend. I love you. Love you too, Mom. Bye. Don was like, Ruby, what do you mean you want me to make a U-turn? And then after he and I both studied it for a minute, we realized that our next turn is a U-turn, but that's in 33 miles. So we're going to be on 401 or Capitol Boulevard all the way up here to this church.
Yeah, this is 401 and it turns into Capitol Boulevard.
Right, it's Main Street Fuquay, and it's Highway 70, 401 in Garner, and it's, you know, it's South Saunders or Wilmington Street in downtown. Yeah, this road is just, it goes on, it's got lots of names. It's always enjoyable to come into the city from this alternate vantage point. It's just a gray day out there though, very gray. It's supposed to be wet tomorrow too, right? I think so.
Yes.
We are here at the Presbyterian Church in Wake Forest, and our friend with the bolt that we saw at the Golden Corral last year is here, and there are a few other plugins over here. So the church has this meeting hall, gym, was what called the Christian Life Center. They've set up tables for us to eat a nice potluck, and then Dean will be up on the stage over here giving his presentation. Don came for the food.
Amen.
Just kidding. But there are some really wonderful church folk here that know what they're doing with a potluck, that's for sure. Johnny is going to be quite pleased that I have packed away some jelly beans to bring home to him. Those were the favors on the table tonight. Fortunately, we had rain here tonight, and we were not able to open up the cars for the lovely people that turned out to listen to Dean's presentation. This is Dean here taking off in his Volt. But there were a lot of good questions, and I think this group of folks really enjoyed themselves. And Don is pulling up over here for me. It's raining, it's pouring. Don says I was too slow, but we got a little yellow message on the driver display that blind spot detection is limited and camera visibility is obscured. And I guess that's because we've got this great rain tonight.
Yeah, the lenses, we just literally started moving the car, so the lenses are all covered with water. But as soon as I picked up a little speed, that's when the message went away. So I think the water droplets blew off the lenses.
Sure, that makes total sense. So we're making our way south back to Fuquay. We're supposed to get home about 9:45. We will have 38% battery left. So we might could have made this trip without that extra juice I put in this morning, but this way, no worries for sure. Don does have autopilot on. He likes the extra help seeing with all the glare on the road during the rain. You know, he's got both hands on the wheel. He's being really vigilant. But
yeah,
he definitely feels like another set of eyes is a real help in the rain.
Guess that's a record. Fire?
No, ambulance. We're coming back into Fuquay now. The rain has let up mercifully. Don's done a good job driving. I'm really glad I didn't have to drive us back home tonight. It's too much glare on the road for me. Well, there was a lot of stuff coming down on the driveway before the storm, but I definitely say we had a little bit of wind here. We've driven 119 miles since our last charge, but that does not count the mileage into downtown Raleigh this morning to drop Johnny off at school. So we're probably up closer to 150, 52 miles today, something like that. I'll look on Teslafy if I can remember. Texan Slate came out of the garage and are perfectly dry. I suspect gray has just hit underneath the GMC in there.